Baik, ini adalah perkembangan baharu yang kami terima. Satu kenyataan media daripada Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani, Pengerusi Jawatan Kuasa Pemulihan Aset (AWANI). Izinkan saya bacanya dalam bahasa Inggeris. The 1MDB Asset Recovery Task Force convened a meeting on 22nd January 2024 to discuss the latest update on the asset recovery and other matters relating to the Goldman Sachs dispute. The Government of Malaysia acknowledged the complexities and confidentiality surrounding the details of the settlement. However, it still aims to provide transparency and updates on the current situation to the public. First, a settlement agreement details. The settlement agreement signed on August 2020 between the Government of Malaysia and Goldman Sachs require Goldman Sachs to pay $2.5 billion cash payment and provide the Government of Malaysia with a $1.4 billion asset recovery guarantee. Second, on the failure of negotiators and lawyers to secure a fair settlement. Currently, it has been noted that the negotiators and lawyers representing the Government of Malaysia at the material time failed to secure a fair and adequate settlement from Goldman Sachs. For the information of the public, 1MDB paid unusually high advisory fees of $606 million to Goldman Sachs for advising on the issuance of the three bonds totaling $6.5 billion. And Goldman Sachs' direct involvement in the 1MDB scandal has resulted in being fined by various regulators, including the Department of Justice (DOJ), for the sum of $2.9 billion. Notably, the amount paid by Goldman Sachs in fines surpassed the cash payment paid to the Government of Malaysia, which is $2.5 billion, despite Malaysia suffering the greatest repercussions from the 1MDB scandal by having to pay $6.5 billion, principal amount plus interest of approximately $3.2 billion over the span of 10 years to service including the updates. We can see that service of the 1MDB debt. And the third, dispute over asset recovery guarantee. The current dispute centers around Goldman Sachs' attempt to offset the fine imposed of M-Bank, which is 2.8 billion ringgit, and the settlement agreement with IPIC, which is $1.8 billion against a $1.4 billion asset recovery guarantee. Goldman Sachs contends that its obligations under the asset recovery guarantee have been discharged through this offset. However, the Government of Malaysia disputes this. It asserts that the fines imposed on M-Bank and the settlement with IPIC are not encompassed within the scope of the $1.4 billion asset recovery guarantee. And looking at the fiduciary duty and negligence concerns, the 1MDB task force is additionally examining whether the negotiators and lawyers representing the Government of Malaysia at the material time may have failed in their fiduciary duty or were negligent in arriving at the settlement agreement. Such lapses on the part of negotiators and lawyers in failing to negotiate a fair and clear settlement agreement have compromised the Government of Malaysia's position in the ongoing dispute. And the current status, the Government of Malaysia has filed its reply on the 8th November 2023 to Goldman Sachs arbitration request, and the parties are currently in the process of agreeing on the procedural timetable. Additionally, the 1MDB task force is also considering to initiate legal proceedings against a number of foreign banks that facilitated the fund transfer related to 1MDB without conducting proper Know Your Client KYC processes at that material time. And lastly, the 1MDB task force is firmly committed in addressing the 1MDB matter transparently and holding all parties accountable. The complexities of the settlement agreement require careful examinations, and the 1MDB task force is actively participating in the arbitration process to ensure a fair resolution in the best interests of the Malaysian people. Keep tuning with Niaga AWANI, where we will bring more updates right after this.